Alrighty, friends. So today is going to be a very exciting day, especially this video right now, okay? Because this is going to be a huge, a wicked big, a humongous movie review that you want to tune into, because this movie review is Forrest Gump style, okay? We all know the extremely popular film Forrest Gump, played by the incredibly famous Tom Hanks. If you don't know who Tom Hanks is, you're literally living under a rock, okay? Because Tom Hanks is literally one of the most popular, if not the most popular sorry, not sports. I'm talking so much sports lately, okay? I came out with 2 videos within the last few days, okay? Both about how the Yankees are cheaters, about how the Yankees like literally don't know how to play baseball, and how they got covered up by the commissioner. So if you haven't seen those videos, those are actually pretty popular, okay? Because if you don't know who I am, I'm actually becoming kind of like a well-known figure at this point. So if you haven't seen those, go take a peek at that, because it's pretty darn good, okay? But Tom Hanks is like a legendary actor, okay? He's been in so many movies that it's literally too hard to count on this point, right? You got Big, right? And then the one he was most recently in, like a great day, and then it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, right? That was a great movie that he was in. But Tom Hanks, Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks, such a great movie. Came out back in the '90s, right? And it's a really just incredible situation that he was put in, right? The character Forrest Gump, was put in a situation where he, was trying to go like down. He was actually in out down in Alabama, Georgia, trying to get to his long lost girlfriend's apartment, and trying to wait for the right bus to pick him up, to take him to that general area of where his girlfriend was staying, right? And all of a sudden he just starts talking with folks who decide to sit with him about his life journey, and it was really like a great plot, right, that he found himself in. And it essentially all revolved around his love for this girl, right? Essentially everything that he did, tried to impress her, and tried to like actually show her, and prove to her why, you need to come, and marry me. And so it was really awesome, right? So it showed him as a kid, struggling growing up as a kid. He actually taught Elvis Presley how to dance, okay, which is absolutely incredible. That's just filthy awesome, right? The man, the myth, the legend himself, right? He taught the king how to dance. So that was a big moment. And then he got into, and the big thing too is, growing up he was bullied a lot, right? Because of his physical appearance, right? And he did have something going on, with his legs, right? So there were a lot of the reasons why kids, gave him a hard time. But he's like, I don't care. What the heck with that, right? They don't need to know what I'm doing. And so, he was obviously he was incredibly great at running. So he went to play college, play football, and then after college, he went to the army. Met a friend in the a couple friends in the army. One of them being Lieutenant Dan. Okay, he was busy getting Lieutenant Dan some ice cream, and obviously he met his friend Bubba, who eventually he tried to save his life, but unfortunately was too late at that point. And so Forrest Gump, being the incredible Forrest Gump that he is, okay, we're not talking about Tom Hanks at this point. We're talking about the character Forrest Gump, right? So he went on and he made Bubba a promise that he would, start a shrimping boat company. And that's what he did. As soon as he got out of the military. Okay, but before we move on any further, we've got to mention, okay, Forrest Gump is a ping pong god, okay? Like, he is a living ping pong legend, okay? I know I'm the legend of the links, but he's like the table tennis Tyrannosaurus Rex, okay? He's like the ping pong master, okay? And nothing, and like he even says in the movie, like, nothing beats my ping pong paddle, right? And he also went to China to play some ping pong, right? He's just, when it comes to ping pong, he was legendary. And so, like I said, he traveled like all around the globe to play ping pong. I mean, how awesome is that? That literally does not get any better. Okay, that is literally the dream. Traveling around the world playing some of the top ping pong players like is absolutely incredible, right? So, now we can proceed knowing that Forrest Gump is a legendary ping pong player. So he then went on to start a boating company, right? A shrimp boat company. And that became insanely popular, right? And well known. And so he named it Bubba Gump Shrimp, right? Bubba, after his name, Bubba, after his friend's name, Bubba, from the Army, right? And then Gump, Forrest Gump. So, it became so popular. Bubba Gump Shrimp became so popular. He owned a ton of boats. And he eventually had Lieutenant Dan help him out, because Lieutenant Dan told Forrest in the Army that if you ever become a shrimp boat captain, and if that becomes extremely popular and extremely, like, profitable and all that, he's like, I'll help you out. And Forrest Gump's like, okay. And yeah, so that became popular. Lieutenant Dan helped him out. And, that was really like a great scene in the movie, because, Lieutenant Dan looked, because the big thing with Lieutenant Dan is a great character, okay? Because I really could talk about every single character forever, right? But Lieutenant Dan, his big thing was, he had a whole bunch of relatives and his family that were in the military and passed away on the battlefield. So he felt like if he was going to die on the battlefield, if he felt like that was his duty, he had to live up to that, right? And Forrest Gump being Forrest Gump, he's like, no way, I can't let that happen, because it's one of my duties, it's one of my rules, that if I see somebody on the United States side that's in danger, I have to go help and save them, right? So Forrest Gump, he saw Lieutenant Dan struggling, in the battlefield. So Forrest Gump did what he had to do. He saved the freaking guy. And for the longest time, Lieutenant Dan was, always just so upset over that fact. And he constantly looked at Forrest as like just a freak, because he just had that strong urge to die on that battlefield. But when the scene in the movie where, the two of them were sitting on the boat, waiting for that shrimp to make some magic happen, right? Lieutenant Dan looked at Forrest and was like, hey, look, I never thanked you for saving my life. And then, jumped off the boat and just kind of started swimming around the boat, right? I thought that was a really, really powerful scene, right? Because I really feel like that's where things started to slowly come full circle. Because that's when really, too, Jenny started to realize, like, hey, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life. Because Jenny was, kind of a back and forth, 50-50 character where, like, she would be okay for a while, and then she would go back, and then she'd be okay again, and then she'd go back. So it's like, come on, Jenny, just pick a freaking side already, okay? Just be okay, be healthy, be safe. And so, I got to a point where eventually, too, Forrest Gump's mother died, and that really took a toll on him. And it got to a point, too, and then, like, Jenny came back, spent some time with him, and, surprised him, walked up to his house, and they hung out for a while. Forrest asked Jenny to marry him, but, there's that another, like, popular scene in the movie where he's like, Jenny, will you marry me? I'm not a smart man, but I know what love is. Yeah, you know the drill. So he popped the question. She, was the classic Jenny. She essentially gave him a slap to the face. She said no, and yeah, and so that was that point where Forrest Gump went on his huge run, literally around the country. Right, he basically went everywhere. Cause people kept asking him too, like, why'd you do it? And he's like, I just felt like running, right? I mean, like, kudos to him, and especially at that point in the movie too. He's so filthy rich between, Bubba Gump Shrimp, the military, ping pong, okay? And he also invested in the Apple company, which obviously took off, okay? So he's like just mega wealthy. His bank accounts all set for a very long time. And so he had a lot of time to spare because he didn't really need to work at that point. So yeah, it would make sense that he would just go for an incredibly long run, literally around the continent. Um, and so yeah, that's what he did. He just ran. He just went with it. Forrest Gump being Forrest Gump, right? You know, because his whole entire life he just ran. You know, and he was always running. He was always chasing that next goal, that next opportunity to pursue. And the running really ties in with the whole theme of the movie too, because you know towards the end of the movie, you know, he describes this whole story to these folks, and these folks are like baffled. They're like, oh my god, this guy's literally been through everything. And then he describes how, you know, he was down in Alabama trying to you know, find his girlfriend. You know, he told that lady his address, and she's like, you just went through all of that. You just sat here for all that time. And she was like, it's literally a couple blocks away, dude. Like, it's literally right there. And so what did he do? He got up from that bench and he started running to Jenny. So he ran to Jenny, ran to her apartment, you know, and saw her, saw that he had a son, and his name was Forrest Gump too. So that was pretty darn cool. And guess what? You know, they got married. They went to back to his home in Greenbow, Alabama, Greenbow, Alabama, in the county of Greenbow. Okay, if you didn't know that already. And yeah, like I said, they got married on that property. And you know, all of a sudden, you know, Jenny like looked at Forrest. You know, the two of them were at the playground with their son Forrest. Forrest Gump and Jenny were sitting on the bench, and Jenny looked at Forrest and was like, hey, look, I've got cancer, and the doctors don't know how to cure it. And so, you know, and eventually, again, you know, Jenny passes away of cancer, and, you know, leading up to that point, they talked about all the great memories, you know, that they've had, and Jenny, you know, finally admitted that, you know, she's basically crazy, right? She, you know, had a lot of issues, and she didn't know how to deal with them. And, you know, and after a while, she thought about it and was like, hey, look, I need Forrest Gump to keep me grounded, right? Because he knows what he's all about. And if anybody's going to help me, it's going to be a Forrest Gump himself, right? So, you know, it's just, the whole entire movie is just crazy, right? And you can go on and on and on about it because it's a long movie, too, and there's a lot of content in it, right? But it's just crazy how, you know, the running symbolizes a lot, right? And essentially the first thing that comes to my mind is the running helps him in the whole chase for love, right? He likes Jenny. He wants to be with Jenny. He loves Jenny, right? And he uses the running as ways to get closer to Jenny, but he uses the running as ways to get his mind off of Jenny as well. So it's a kind of a catch-22, you know, 50 split, right? So it's really interesting that, and it's because you know, he met Jenny as a kid, you know, on a school bus, right? So he used the running kind of hand in hand with the whole love deal, right? The whole love situation. So, I mean, it's just incredible. Just watch the movie, okay? Essentially, Forrest Gump movie review. Watch Forrest Gump and watch my videos and subscribe, okay?